all take our seats? Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are two public hearings scheduled today. One is at 2 o'clock, one is at 7 o'clock. The 7 o'clock hearing is on the tentative county budget. If you wish to speak at that hearing, please return at 7. The 2 o'clock hearing is on the county's community development needs and priorities, and to discuss the possible submission of one or more community development block grant applications for the 2019 program year. If you're unable to attend the 2 o'clock hearing on those programs, you may submit written comments. Donna Scanlon, Director of Community Development Programs, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York, until December 31st, 2019. Anyone wishing to speak on those programs or development needs, please step forward and state your name.
Mr. Wilbur. Donna Scanlon it is.
Hi, my name is Donna Scanlon. I work for Oswego County Community Development, Tourism and Planning Department. And I'm here today to give you a brief synopsis about the Community Development Block Grant application and funding that's available at this time. Just so you're aware of it. And let me start by telling you what's out there currently. Currently, there's an application process available for $10 million from New York State Community Development Block Grant funding for housing activities. This can be used for a variety of housing activities. Counties can apply for up to $1 million in funds. And Oswego County is looking to apply for $500,000 to address well and septic, failing well and septic on-site systems throughout Oswego County, and for also lateral hookups for new sewer hookups, new water hookups in various areas. You'll see that I left a map on everyone's desk, and this is what we've done in the past. We've had over, I think we're about up to 80 units that we've installed, repaired, fixed. We also had a program at the town of Hastings a million years ago, it seemed like. I think it was 2004, where we actually fixed the septic systems and hooked people up to a lateral water line on County Route 37. I know at that time I worked with the code enforcement officer in that town, and it was a very welcome program, and a lot of benefit came from that. So these programs it's really essential for Oswego County to have a well and septic replacement program. It's something that homeowners aren't always expecting, and when your septic system fails, it can be almost devastating for your family budget. So I'm hoping, if you have any comments, there's also, you can give me a call. There's information on our website about this, and just call for any programs. And basically, it is for low and moderate income family households. We can go up to 80% of median household income, and it's based on your family size. So that's the overview, and our grant is due December 18th, so if you have any comments or questions, give me a call pretty quickly, or any other ideas. I don't know if anyone has any questions right now.
One question, great program, many of the people in my district have used it, but my question is, Lakeshore septic replacement?
Oh, the Lakeshore, this is all of our septic replacement programs. The Lakeshore septic replacement is a New York State program, and that was through the EPA, or the...
Neighbors of Watertown?
No, this is through our office, but it's a totally not related to Community Development Block Grant. It's a New York State program with DEC, and it's not an income eligible program, but it does fix septic systems along the lakeshore. The primary purpose of that program is more environmental in nature than the CBD program is both environmental and housing oriented for low mod folks. So
this is for properties impacted by the high water level?
Just any lakeshore property that's located 250, that's okay, 250 feet, and we have a list of all the properties that were deemed within this area that DEC finds critical. So that's what that replacement program is about.
Okay, maybe I can get a copy.
Yeah, and it's, what that one pays is 50% of your total project cost, and the homeowner is responsible for getting us the paperwork, and we have an allocation of, $150,000 for 5 years. So I believe we've committed to, probably more than half of that at this point, but we have 3 years to go.
Thank you.
But it's a good program. Anytime you can fix your stuff, it's good. Anybody else?
One question.
Huh?
Donna, thank you. Is it just for homeowners or can businesses be in on this too?
Just for homeowners for community development block grant. However, the Lakeshore one, I don't want to get them confused because I'm here for block grant, but the Lakeshore one can be small businesses. But it has to be small under like 10 employees, so.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, Donna, you said something about 250 feet. Is that the setback of the state from off the water line, or?
That is DEC's requirement in their zone, but that's also the New York State program that I'm here on a public hearing about community development block grant, so we can get you all the information about the New York State septic system program if you wish, but today we're really talking about the block grant program and what we're applying for, but that's their buffer. I don't know where the line's from.
So anything closer, say something's 100 feet, that would not qualify?
Oh, that'd be in the zone because you're within the zone, 250 feet. If there's a specific property, I suggest they call our office and we'll look it up and see if it's in the zone.
Donna, thank you. I know that you guys do this every year. This stuff that you've been doing is great. But my question again is, what is the income level and what is the cutoff?
It's 80% of median, and it's based on the size of your household. And the things that we take into account, do you want to know how the income is derived, or?
No, just, let us
It's
know
a-
what the income level would be. Say, if somebody, not in my district, but, I know other districts, they'll try to apply and they say, well, I make too much money. Well, how much is,
If we get funded, and we haven't been funded the last 2 years, and that's probably why they're still wondering. But if we do get funded, we'll have a brochure, and it'll have it's based on the HUD Section 8 guidelines, and those are not listed by 50%, 80%, but by low, very low, and moderate income. But we will have that in our brochure, and then people will know by their family size, so.
thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Any other persons wishing to speak, please step forward. If not, the hearing is closed at 2:12. Thank you. I'd like to call the regular meeting to order. We have a roll call.
Margaret Kessler,
Here,
Milford Potter,
Here.
Edward Gilson's absent excused, David Holst,
Here.
Rory Riedl's absent excused, John Martino,
Here.
Bradley Trudell,
Here.
Paul House,
Here.
James Weatherup,
Here.
Mary Ellen Chesbro,
here.
Linda Lockwood,
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Richard Klein,
Present.
Patrick Twist,
Here.
Stephen Walpole,
Here.
Nathan Emmons,
Here.
Thomas Drum,
Here.
Shane Broadwell,
Here.
Heather Del Conte,
Here.
Reece Schott,
Here.
Tim Stahl,
Here.
Terry Wilbur,
Here.
James Karosik,
Here.
Morris Cervello,
Here.
Daniel Five,
Here.
Frank Castilia.
One last time, wouldn't miss it.
As I'm sure everybody is aware, former legislator Jack Proud passed away last month. As a well-respected member of this body, I'll ask that legislator Cervello have us all stand, say a few words, and lead us in a moment of silence, please.
Your friend as well as mine, Jack Proud, through the many years, did a lot for this legislature. As the chairman, I often asked him to be chair. He would refuse to be out in the limelight, so he would say, but he helped in the backgrounds, whoever was chair, whoever was served in this capacity. His spirit will be with us, and may God bless those kind of people and all of you that work so hard doing stuff for your community. So Jack, may you rest in peace, my dear friend, and we will hope someday we all join one another. Amen.
Let us be thankful for the love, hope, and joy of this holiday season. We wish that peace may grow throughout the world and that the goodwill in our hearts continue to be evident in all that we do. May the blessings and guidance continue with each of us and our families into the new year and beyond. Amen. Amen. At this time, we've got a special representative of the U.S. Armed Forces to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, we'll welcome for her last meeting, former Air Force veteran, Margaret Kessler.
Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Margaret.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the November 14th meeting.
So moved.
Second, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce some legislators, as you're aware. Some outgoing legislators. If Milford Potter could come forward.
Count of three. 1, 2, 3. And the second. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Milford actually started here in 2006, served as a legislator for 14 years, has been committee chair of strategic planning and government for at least 4 years, did 10 years on infrastructure, 8 on public safety, and 2 years on F&P, and I'm going to miss him. Legislator Kessler, come forward.
Smile and all that jazz, right?
1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
My diploma.
That's it. Congratulations. Margaret represents the 1st District, started in October 2007. She served for legislator for over 12 years. She's been on the Health Committee, 9 years on public safety, at least 1 year on government. She's an Air Force veteran. We went for that earlier.
Thank you, sir.
She's been a business owner, the town library director, the town assessor, and a volunteer dispatcher.
I was busy, wasn't I?
Legislator Farfalia, come forward.
Yeah. Wow.
Count of 3. 1,
Yeah.
2,
I like this one.
and a second.
This is the fun part.
1, 2, Thank you.
Legislator for Ophelia, representing 24th District, started in 2012, first Democrat elected to the 24th seat. Served as a legislator for 8 years, 1 year on health, 4 years on human, 4 on government, 2 years on EDP, and 2 years on F&P. And he's also served as minority leader and the whip. Thank you.
I'll be very brief. It's been an honor being a part of this body for the last 8 years. It's a dream come true for me. And most importantly, I want to thank the voters of the 24th for giving me the honor of being here for the last 8 years. Thank you very much.
Legislator Del Conte, or Legislator Heather.
Gotta get that date in. Yeah, you did.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Del Conte, representing the 18th District, started in 2016, served as a legislator for 4 years, 4 years on health, 2 years on human, 2 years on government. She's very active with the county youth through the City County Youth Board, 4-H, and I might add, school board president.
Thank you. I feel like mine should be a little smaller than everything. But I just wanted to take a moment to thank those of you, department heads I've worked with, and those of you in this body who have offered me a lot of respect and taken my ideas seriously and responded to the needs of my constituency. I really appreciate it. And if I could just leave with a piece of advice, I represent an interesting cohort. I represent those who come here, decide to put down roots. I wasn't born here, and Scott and I decided to raise our family here. We chose Oswego, and that's kind of unique. So as a little piece of advice, I think there's still work to be done in terms of producing a culture of inclusivity, and that's something I would just really encourage people to continue to work towards. So thank you.
Legislator Castillo.
Can't vote no on this one.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Young lady, did you get another picture?
Legislator Castillo, representing the 25th District, started in 2014, served as a legislator for 6 years, 5 years on health, 5 years on public safety, 1 year economic development, 1 year infrastructure. He served as a minority leader, and he has the most recorded no votes of any legislator currently serving. I'm very proud of his perfect attendance.
I wasn't going to say much.
That's good.
This part I'm going to read, the rest of it I'll play by ear. A man is a sum of his actions, of what he has done, of what he can do, nothing else. And if I did anything when I came into this legislature, I started people thinking and coming up with, instead of just yes and no, it made everybody think before we voted yes or no. And I want to thank everybody here for the support. I want to thank my constituents in the 25th District for all that they the support that they gave me, and I just wonder if the applause is so great that I'm leaving, or so great that you appreciated me. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Legislator Broadwell.
One, two, three. And the second. One, two,
Legislator Broadwell, representing the 17th District, has been a great friend of mine. Truly enjoyed working with him before. Started in October 2012, served as a legislator for over 7 years. Was chairman of the legislature last year. Served as a committee chair for Human Services for 2 years and as F&P for 2 years. I've been in 2 years, or 1 year in Community and Consumer Affairs, 3 years on Public Safety, 2 years on Economic Development, 4 years in Human Services, 4 years in F&P, and 1 year on Health. Been on numerous county advisory boards, including efforts establishing the county land bank, which we owe them a big debt of gratitude.
I just want to say how impressed I was really about just learning the process about county government. I had zero knowledge about when I walked in the door in 2012. You know, we've done business in the city, but my wife said, "What the hell do you know about county politics?" when I brought it up about joining. And it was nothing at the time. I say a lot about, you don't know what you don't know, and that's what's important for all the legislators. You got to ask questions and participate. Set goals. It's important that this body sets goals. If somebody's got an idea, it should be heard. It should go on the wall, whether it's a short-term goal, which we've achieved a lot, or even some of them long-term goals, which have taken many years to achieve. I won't bring up the website as one, but that's one. But necessarily, I've appreciated the process. I've learned a lot through those learnings there. Sometimes it was slow the hell down. It doesn't go that fast, as Phil would tell me. But at the same time, if I said anything, I was just being on so many committees, chairing advisory committees, being involved. It's working with the department heads. I mean, Oswego County has a fantastic workforce. I really believe that. Anything that has come up, we've had department heads who have stepped up, worked with their departments to make them things happen. So if I said anything, I'd say, Oswego County has a fantastic workforce. It goes from the top down to the leadership of the department heads, but I've appreciated working with all of you, so thank you very much.
This time I'd like to call the Public Safety Committee forward along with Teresa Bennett, Director Dale Courier, and Legislator Chuck Crowley.
Get up here.
Are you going to tell us to move over to the other side? Are we taking up too much space? I'm trying to lose some weight.
Count of three. 1, 2, 3. And the second. 1, 2, 3.
So with everybody who was just here, they're all departing, but we know that the next two are not departing, so you're staying, okay? All right. But we just want to take a moment to recognize 25 years of service for Teresa Terry Bennett. She has been a great asset to the county as a whole. I know that all of our local municipalities work with her quite regularly, and if there's a snowstorm coming, I can guarantee that I'm going to see Terry's email come through with a weather report. And same thing for any other weather-related event or emergency event. She does a great job keeping us all informed on what we need to at those events. So congratulations to you on 25 years, and we'll see you in another 25.
When I came 6 years ago, I kind of wondered, what's the constant that we have in the department? Because we have a lot of communities that we work with and a lot of different situations we deal with. And it was only a couple months in that phone rang and a community had a problem. And the first thing they said is Terry there? And for the last 6.5 years, when we've had snowstorms, floods, anything that we've had it, Terry has always been a real good, solid, trusted partner, knows the folks in the communities, and has done a lot of really good things. So we're looking forward to at least 10 more.
No,
All right.
it's been a nice 25 years. I'm looking forward to more. Thank you.
There you go.
It's been nice serving with you too. And you. It's you. Thank you very much.
Stay right up there, Margaret.
Sure. Congratulations. Yes, we go back a long way. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been nice working with you.
All right, thank you. If we have the Public Safety Committee already up here, but if we can invite Fred Ferguson, Sheriff Hilton, and Legislator Wilbur to come forward. I don't know. I do.
Everybody ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And the second? 1, 2, 3.
So on behalf of Oswego County, we want to honor Frederick, or Fred, Ferguson on 25 years of service to Oswego County, and I'm hoping he brought us lunch here because I'm a little hungry. As many of you know, may or may not know, he runs the kitchen over at the jail for us, keeps all of the inmates fed, and occasionally the sheriff, I think. But anyways, thank you for your 25 years of service, and we can count on 25 more as well. So, Sheriff, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, actually, I've had a year to watch Fred do his job, and when I came in there, I wondered why we didn't have a meal service come in, and everybody told me, including the chief, told me, watch the way Fred does his job. And what I can tell you is, he's an unsung hero of our employees here in the county. He saves this county tens of thousands of dollars every year through his relationships with vendors on the East Coast. And he literally has saved, in the last 25 years, thousands and thousands of dollars every week on just his relationship that he's developed with these vendors. So again, I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. You may see on your pre-resolution agenda, we were going to have an award for Mayor Woodard of Fulton. He's feeling a little ill, so we're going to visit them at the next meeting, and the representatives that represent that part of the Fulton will have to coordinate and make sure that we wish him well. But speaking of food, there is cake afterwards in honor of the outgoing legislators in the law room, and sheriff and undersheriff are back there guarding it right now. So, moving on, public speakers on resolutions of the day.
There are.
Thank you. Reports of county officials. Reports of standing committees. Reports of special committees. Moving on to resolutions. Legislator Wilbur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to move all resolutions on the 2 p.m. agenda upon consent as a block, with the exceptions of Resolution GC4, EP3, EP4, HS4, and FP1.
Thank you. Do you have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moving then right into resolutions. Legislator Foltz, Resolution GC4.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution fixing the time and place for the 2020 organizational meeting.
The time and place will be here at January 2nd, 2020 at 2 p.m.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move to amend the time of the meeting from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Do we have a second? Multiple seconds. Any discussion?
Discussion on that?
I think everybody knows.
I think it's very important that, that we start having the meeting at 7 o'clock, and it'd be great to start right off the beginning of the year.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to note that as a tradition, we've had this meeting at 2 p.m. With the number of new legislators that we have coming in, and families that are traveling quite a distance, and some of the cases to partake in that. I think at 2 p.m. is more conducive, especially with the school being out of session, so that some younger children from the said families can participate in this as well.
Thank you. Legislator Falcone.
Yes, one of the benefits of leading this chamber is that as a working person, I will no longer have to use vacation time to attend these meetings. So it would give more people who work during the day the opportunity to be served, along with, the members of the public who would like to come. So that's why we've always advocated for evening meetings.
Legislator Castillo.
One more time. I hear the talk of tradition, but I think sometimes maybe we should change tradition a little bit. We've done it on other issues, and I think it's time to start one with this. Start a new tradition, sometime. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Now this is to vote on the amendment. All those in favor?
Right?
I heard it.
Oh,
I heard it.
Questionably 18 opposed.
Thank you. Motion fails. The resolution back to the original. Any discussion on the original? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
5 opposed, 18 in favor.
Carries. Thank you. Resolution EP3 by Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would bring this resolution forward, and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution increasing authorization of capital project number 95, mobility management.
All right, the resolution is for increasing this capital project. It is a state, federal government requirement that we have this mobility management system. And I know there's a little bit of an issue with the fact that some of the funding is coming from the unappropriated fund balance. I do want to mention that we did discuss that. It is a requirement that come from a reserve by the state, and so that's why it's coming out that way. There is also a reimbursement portion coming for DSS as well.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
I've read the resolution. I had heard about this coming forward, and I see the reason for it, but, and this goes for both of them, the EP3 and EP4, I've talked to the state and I've talked to the federal government, and they can't answer my question. Maybe somebody here can. I know why we need it. We need that mobility management services in order to be able to get the grants that are coming. That's why we need it, okay? But the second part of the question is, what is it? Because nobody at the state or federal level can give me an explanation of what the function of that service is going to be. And I was just wondering if maybe the chairman of the EP could tell me that.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, we have the chairwoman of our county's transportation, and quite a bit of time looking into this, and if you wouldn't mind, I'll defer to her and give more questions.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Legislator Kessler.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Legislator Castiglia. What it is that as chairman of the Transportation Board, we've been meeting every single month discussing all of the things. And I wish all you could have done is call me, and I would have put you right in charge and be able to talk to either department heads. Stacy is very involved. She could tell you a lot from DSS. Senior aging, they could tell you an awful lot. I could get you in charge with Sam. I could get you in charge with Frank. You would have been able to get all of your answers to any of your questions, and I would have loved to have talked to you about it, because this is not just a simple thing. This is something that's going to be fantastic for our rural development with our transportation. What they're doing is they are bringing everything together. We've been doing interviews, we've got surveys. Donna has been going out talking to towns to get information as to what do they need, what routes do we have, what routes didn't we have. It's huge. I could go on this forever, but I wish you had simply called me beforehand, and I would have been able to give you that information and put you in touch with anybody else. If I couldn't have given it to you, I would have been able to, more than likely, been able to give you immediately.
Legislator Castillo.
You still didn't answer the question as to what they were going to do, but the point is that the Transportation Committee hasn't met since October, and therefore, that's why I found out through a constituent that was talking to me, that spoke at the last meeting about rural transportation. That's why it's big. I'm not against this. What I'm trying to find out is what it is actually going to do, because we all heard the speeches last month, 3 of them. We heard the horror stories, and they're not fictional. They are facts. Okay? And yes, I've said from the beginning, since I first started in this legislature, what do we need to make sure that we get rural transportation in the the economic development survey that we did? The first thing that came up was rural transportation. You can't get to jobs if you don't have transportation. You can't get to appointments if you don't have rural transportation. And I have always been in favor of better and more advanced and more efficient rural transportation. I'm not against the resolution. What I'm asking is, what are they actually going to do? Gathering notes and people saying we're going to do this and where we need that, that is not anything more than another study that's going to give us, all right, we need people here, but what are we going to do to make sure that those people that are in the rural areas are going to get the transportation? That's what we need to know.
Legislator Kessler.
It answers your question completely. It's this mobility manager and the VTC that goes along with it, the volunteer. They are going to have an office right here in Oswego County that are going to be able to find volunteers, search out volunteers where it's needed. The mobility manager works with all the different people. They're going to be here. Once we have the RFP, we've got it all done, we've passed it. They're going to be here, and they're going to be working with the people. One sentence, or I guess a thought that I thought was really good, they go, nobody will have an excuse as to why they couldn't get to DSS or why they couldn't get to the public safety building or to court, because we will find them a way. This is not a study. This is people, boots on the ground. They will be taking care of rural transportation.
Legislator Castillo.
Okay, I'm sorry, how much do we pay OCO for transportation right now for OPT? What is it, a couple $1 million a year or something? How much?
It's $900,000 pass through.
900 pass through from the state or from the federal government. And what I'm getting to is I'm getting to the point that we're looking for volunteers to do something that another private entity, nonprofit, is supposed to be doing for us, and it's not happening. Okay? That's what I'm getting at. We need better transportation, and it needs to be on a regular basis. It can't be, well, I called, and when am I gonna get there, and how am I gonna get there? I understand what you're saying, that you're gonna get volunteers that are gonna answer these calls. But we are paying good taxpayer money for this, okay?
Well,
Administrator Church, if we may.
I got a
Administrator
quick,
Church has some clarification.
just a clarification. That was true, but the funding source, the federal government no longer allows the provider to also do the management of the routes. So that's why we have to have a separate contract.
And I understand that, Mr. Church, I understand that it has to be somebody else. I read that, I knew that. State and federal government, when I called them, our representatives, they didn't know what exactly they were supposed to do, but the state kicked it up to the federal kicked it back down to the state. You know how it is up there.
Should have had them kick it to no.
You know, they were unable to answer exactly what they were going to do. I understand what Legislator Chesbro is saying, and I'm hoping that comes through. I won't be here to see if it, comes through, the fruitfulness, but if it happens, I'm glad, because that's what we've been pushing for 6 years. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. Resolution EP4 by Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution board and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding a contract for mobility management services to the Volunteer Transportation Center Incorporated.
All right, this was the lone bidder for the open RFP that went out. It is thankfully a very experienced group. In fact, they operate in a number of our similar neighboring counties. So we've heard the discussion about how needed this is. I don't think anyone would argue that. In an area like as large and rural as our county is, having people to be able to put it together, help us to plan it out. I mean, if you remember, we were doing this better back in the day. That was taken away from us. We were no longer allowed to do what we've been done real well here. And it's been tough for the last few years. And so I'm thankful to see this coming through. I'm thankful that there's boots on the ground. We'll have an office here in Oswego County. And we have a lot of folks willing to serve. We have a lot of folks who are being paid to serve. What we need to do is make sure they're put together in the right way. And I feel confident this is the group to do that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. Resolution HS4 by Legislator Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract, Senior Transportation Services, Office for the Aging.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment.
Please read.
In paragraph 4, the amount of $150,636 should be amended to read $143,104. That's based on the result of negotiating after the committee meeting that actually reduced the amount of money for the contract.
I'll second the motion. Any second the motion to amend? Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The original, sir. Any other discussion on that?
So we went back to the original now, right?
Right. We amended it to the lower dollar. Legislator Castillo.
I too would like to make an amendment to this resolution. I would like to increase the amount up to $311,966. I'd like to.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have
Don't leave me out
a
to
second. Thank you. Any discussion on the amendment? Legislator Willard.
I'd like to know where we're pulling the money from, unless we're just pulling it out of thin air, because we gotta pull it from somewhere.
I'd also like to know where it's being distributed.
What we're gonna do with $311,000 when the contract came through at $143.
I'm glad everybody's asking.
Let me guess, you're going to die.
Okay. previously I said that rural transportation is very important. Now, what I'd like to know is several things here. I'd like to know how many people in here, legislators and back audience, how many people eat 1 day a week?
Well, I would offer we all eat at least 1 day a week.
I'm talking about only 1 day a week. Only 1 day a week. Now, as you look around, you can see that I eat more than 1 day a week. How many people eat 2 times a week? Just 2 times a week. But yet, that's what we're saying, that we're going to transport people to these nutrition centers. Some of them 1 day a week, although it's open 3 times, or maybe open twice. And then there's some that we offer, that we transport only 2 days a week, and it's open 5 days a week. Or we transport them twice, and it's only open 4 days a week. Now what I'm asking is I'm asking that we transport, and I'll give you the numbers as to what center is and how much it's going to cost. But the point is, there's 2 things that a good physician will tell you about the senior citizens, is they need nutrition and they need socialization. And in order to get socialization, a lot of them don't have any transportation to get there. And we pay for transportation to get there, and I know that OCO lost 16 runs with the OI contract. So they have buses that are available, they have people that are available. And what I'm asking is Central Square, they're open 2 days a week. I'm asking to increase that by 1 more, 3 days a week, okay? That's 1 extra. Fulton's open 5 days a week. I'm asking to have that be 4 days a week. 2 extra. Hannibal, now this is the big one because during the meeting, there was a quick discussion about the possibility of canceling the run to Hannibal because it hadn't been used in so many years. Well, I spoke with a very fine gentleman from Hannibal to find out if there were any people using the transportation, and he informed me that yes, there was one woman that was walking down the road, an unsidewalked road to and from the nutrition center, and also he told me that there was a person that uses it quite often. But the problem is, he was informed by this person, is that they have to call on Friday to make reservations for Monday. Now, there are people that are in this room that don't know what they're going to be doing on Monday, if they're going to be, available at a certain time on Monday. So therefore, that person may not use it. So all I'm asking is to set up that it's going to be in that area, it's going to be 3 days a week because that's when it's open. Okay? Now, we have to look at the horror stories over here last week, where they're saying that somebody got on the bus for a doctor's appointment, they were on the bus for almost 8 hours for a 1 hour doctor's appointment. Well, if you look around, if you're going to use the bus, you call and you get picked up at 9 o'clock in the morning, an hour after you've already eaten breakfast, and you're going to go for lunch. Or maybe 10 o'clock. But you're on that bus for almost an hour, and then you eat, and then you have to be on the bus for another hour going back home. And that's, a little bit trying for a senior citizen. The younger ones, we might be able to handle it, but not the senior citizens. We have to get a better rural transportation, and I'm asking you to increase this. Now, where are you going to get the money from? I don't know, but we come up with money a lot of times for a lot of things. This is a service. That's what we're supposed to supply from this legislative body. It's not a parking lot. It's not an airport hangar. This is a service. And if we owe anything to anybody, it's the senior citizens, and we need to make sure that their service is given to them. Now the cost. The cost comes out to checking with the Fulton office. about how many people go there for their lunches, their nutritions. On the days that the bus does transport, their numbers go up 5 people each day. So that's 10 people a week. Now you take all the different sites, if it's increased, that's going to come out to 2,500 extra times for the year. I'm not talking about for a day or a month or anything. $2,500. Now the increase is $168,000. That comes out to $67 per person. And I think that if we can afford to spend $7,000 for parking spaces at DSS and $200,000 for each space in an airport hangar, I think we can afford to spend $67 per person to get them a service that they should be having. And I'm asking this legislative body, when we vote on this, to vote on this as a roll call vote. Now, I'm asking you guys to think if you want to have your senior citizens be able to get to a nutrition center and be able to socialize with other people. I know there are Meals on Wheels. I know those people get those meals. There's a lot of them. A lot of volunteers do it. But the thing is, it's socialization is what these people need. And I'm asking you, please, vote in favor of this. And don't think of it as money. Think of it as a service. That's what we're here for. We're here to supply a service to the public, and the senior citizens are a major part of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Legislator Trudell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I greatly appreciate the intent that we are a body that makes these rules, resolutions, et cetera, to provide services. I don't recall this having been brought up at our committee meeting. At the committee meeting, we did have an extensive discussion about several items, in particular what was mentioned, the Hannibal run. We were able to take a look at that, go back and renegotiate the contract, bring it down $7,500, but I don't recall the depth of discussion that these numbers that Legislator Castillo is bringing up. I greatly appreciate those numbers. I don't think it's necessarily, would be less than arbitrary to just go ahead and vote on that in particular based on those numbers. But I would love to see those again in committee meetings so we can consider that for the future.
Legislator Wilbur.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To go along with that, something that when it was discussed on the Hannibal route, and I was talking to the Office of the Aging Director Sarah Sunday on this, and I'm not going to put her on the spot, but I had a conversation with both her and a couple days before that with Gary Mashaw and Donna Stanley, who came out to our town board meeting to discuss this new transportation initiative that's going to go on throughout the county. In discussing both matters with all those individuals, they're actually going to have improved transportation routes in all the communities, especially in the Hannibal one, for example. When they talk of this, I guess I would be cautious about voting on anything of this nature when they're already implementing a new system that is actually going to do just what is being proposed here today and help to improve those situations. One question that was asked in the survey that was given out to our community was about the stops in the areas that are the places that they would like to travel to, especially our seniors, our senior population, that one that kind of falls into the Medicare who can't afford to pay, not the Medicaid necessarily, but the Medicare portion. And what they brought forward was the senior nutrition site, and actually that location is playing a key role in obtaining the results of that survey. So I guess I would be cautious on this amendment, and I would wait for the results of the new transportation system as a whole. I guess, you can throw money after money on things, but let's wait for the results to make sure what we're actually throwing the money at. The senior population is near and dear to my heart, after being somebody that my grandfather was part of my wedding and everything, a best man. I mean, I value our senior population through and through. However, when it's all said and done, I think we have to be conscientious of the county as a whole, and if there is a system that we're getting ready to put in place, let's not duplicate anything that we may not have to.
Thank you. Legislator Castillo.
This is sad. It really is. I understand where you guys are coming from as far as it wasn't discussed here. Well, I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend the meeting to discuss it. as far as surveys, the people that need the service, they don't go to meetings. They're at home. They don't have transportation. Okay? And if they get somebody that possibly can take them to the nutrition centers, if that person is sick that day, then they can't get to the nutrition center. But yet here we're going to worry about 160, how much out of our budget, what is the appropriations for our budget right, for 2020? What's the total appropriation? 217 million. Divide that into $168,000 extra. What is that percentage of increase? It's ludicrous that we're going to sit here and somebody's going to say that we shouldn't spend this money half-heartedly. It's a service. And from a movie, if they build it, they will come. If you supply the service and you get around to them, they are going to come to the dinners, to the lunches. They're going to get the nutrition that we deserve to give to them. And it's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for the city of Fulton. I'm not asking for myself. I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking for all the senior citizens that you guys should be representing and saying, okay, I'll spend it. And I'll find a way to get that money instead of saying, well, we shouldn't spend that money half-heartedly. I can't abide by that. But when I call the roll, when you call the vote, I want a roll call vote, please, sir.
Legislator Brown.
I'd just like to know which committee or what department Legislative Facility vetted this through. I mean, has this been vetted through Office for the Aging, who's putting this plan, in front of us? Has this been in front of the Transportation Committee, Mel, in your group, or Department of Social Services, or OCO, or what other body other than right now is seeing this plan or hear what you're talking about now?
Legislator Evans.
I concur with Legislator Broadwell. I guess what I would just say, I think it's ludicrous that we're having this conversation here today. The minority leader has plenty of opportunity to get with the chairman and to get with the majority leader prior to this meeting, have these conversations, look for ways. If this is really near and dear to his heart, if this is something he was passionate about, today is not the day to have brought this off the floor and have this conversation. The work needed to be done prior to today and have these conversations.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Government. This is great right now. Because it didn't go through a committee, but yet last month we brought in to buy parking spaces. That didn't go through any committee. It went through executive sessions twice, and it was brought to us that day. And yeah, people had talked to other people without authorization, but they had talked to them. And yes, I had talked to Office of the Aging about about this, about increasing the amount, increasing the service, and they are the ones that I have been talking to, yes, okay? Did I go to the committee meeting? No, because I didn't get a chance to, okay? I'm not able to make every one of the meetings. I'm sorry, I'm not on that committee. But yes, it is something that I feel very strongly about, and I'm sorry that I brought it up at this time. It's inconvenient that I brought up a service that the senior citizens need, and we're going to have to think about it, but we're going to put it off because, well, we should look at this, we should look at that. That's government, and I'm sorry. The people deserve a service, and that's what I'm asking you to do. Thank you very much.
I didn't ask about committee, I asked about a plan being vetted by the people who we put in place to manage the transportation. Even after the people we heard last month, those conversations were heard, ongoing. We heard it earlier in this session that Mel had talked about communications with all the people who touch all the not-for-profits. Those people need to be engaged in these conversations. I don't know, even as I'm leaving, a major plan and a change that was born here by the legislature that was pushed down into a department and said, we're going to make this change, kind of go ahead and adopt that. The parking lot was born by communications with the Department of Social Services first, and that entire department and department head.
Thank you. Legislator Twist.
Yeah, I just want to say we're making a fantastic change for our elders. This is a positive thing. This conversation is kind of turned kind of negative, but it's actually an extremely positive thing that we're doing here for our whole community and our elders in our community. I want to personally, as Legislator Broadwell just brought up, thank Legislator Chesborough because this was on her back. She brought this forward for us. She did all the hard work, her and her committee, and I want to personally thank her because, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have even known where to start. She did all the hard work for this. There was a lot of thought put into this financial number that she brought forward. There's a lot of thought put into this whole process. I have to trust her and that committee that has all the information. I can't just throw a random number at something and hope it sticks. It's great to see or to hear, well, we'll throw more money at it. Maybe that can be done, maybe. But I'm gonna have to trust the committee that was put in charge of doing this and go with the number that they suggested, so.
Thank you. Okay, there's an
Roll
amendment.
call vote.
We'll get to that, sir. There's an amendment to the resolution, made and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment, roll call vote.
Margaret Kessler,
I'll pass.
Wilford Potter,
Pass.
Edward Gilson's absent excused, David Holst.
No.
Rory Reels absent excused, John Martino.
No.
Bradley Trudell.
No.
Paul House.
No.
James Weatherup.
No.
Mary Ellen Chesbrough.
No.
Linda Lockwood.
No.
Richard Klein.
No.
Patrick Twist.
No.
Stephen Walpole.
No.
Nathan Emmons.
No.
Thomas Strong.
Yes.
Shane Broadwell.
No.
Heather Del Conte.
Yes.
Marie Schott.
Yes.
Tim Stahl.
No.
Terry Wilbur.
No to the amendment.
James Karosik.
No.
Morris Sabella.
No.
Daniel Fafia.
Yes.
Frank Castillo.
Yes to the amendment.
Margaret Kessler.
No.
Wilford Potter.
No.
It is 18 opposed, 5 in favor.
All right, thank you. Fails. Back to the original. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition? Carried. Thank you. Resolution FP1 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution increasing existing appropriations for various funds in several offices and departments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is year-end cleanup, authorizes the treasurer to make payments, clean up any existing bills after we're through the session.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Drummond.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe I'm just confused. I think I understand the resolution the way it reads, but is this done after the budget's passed? There's no memo attached to this to which funds are going to which departments, or does that include after our fiscal year? Or I have nothing on the back end about where this money's being increased or removed from, unless I'm misunderstanding the resolution.
This is allowed under state law. It allows the treasurer to balance all the accounts at the end of the year. In other words, we're not sitting here on December 31st at midnight or even after, because bills come in afterwards and go 5 to 19. It allows for any adjustments to budget lines that are necessary as a result of bills or revenues.
And there's no memo attached to this because we wouldn't know those bills until they actually come.
Legislator Delconte.
Shouldn't there at least be some kind of projection, like some idea, certainly, we're in the middle of December, to know what bills are coming due in the next few weeks?
Mr. Chairman, you don't know.
Sometimes we get them in February.
You don't know. I mean, we have no crystal ball of knowing what's coming in. We don't know what's out there.
Well, I would add that in the budget process, we do know what we ordered and things of that nature. But, to Legislator Martino's point, the exact bills. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Legislator Wilkins.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to recess this meeting to reconvene at 7 p.m. with the start of a public hearing on our bill.
We'll recess to eat cake.
That's 8 p.m.
Seconded by Legislator. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Welcome you all back to the 7 o'clock meeting of the Oswego County Legislature.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Notice of public hearing on tentative county budget for fiscal year 2020. Notice is hereby given that the county legislature of the county of Oswego will meet at the legislative chambers, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York, at 7 o'clock p.m. on the 12th day of December 2019 for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the tentative budget of Oswego County for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2020. The event seating capacity of the legislative chambers is exceeded. The hearing may be moved to the adjacent county courthouse, east of Mass Street, Oswego, New York. Further notice is hereby given that copies of said tentative budget are available at the office of the clerk of the county legislature, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York, where they may be inspected or procured by any interested person during business hours. Pursuant to Section 359 of the county law, the maximum salaries that may be fixed and payable during said fiscal year to members of said county legislature and to the chairman thereof respectively are hereby specified as follows. Members of the county legislature, each $13,489. Majority and minority leaders of the legislature, each $16,186. Chairman, county legislature, $29,674. By order of the Oswego County Legislature, dated November 14, 2019, Christopher A. Jones, clerk. Any persons wishing to be heard on the tentative 2020 county budget, please step forward and state your name.
Legislator Wilbur. I'll check again, but
It's Russian.
nobody signed up here.
There being no
Bus
persons.
isn't here yet.
Excuse me?
Bus isn't here yet.
Wrong. There being no persons wishing to speak, the public hearing is closed at 7:03.
Thank you. Legislature is now back in session. On to resolutions and motions. Resolution FP2 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution appropriating funds in the 2020 budget with regard to full funded grant projects.
Mr. Chairman, these are leftover funds from grant projects that roll over into the next budget year.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution FP3 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On this resolution, I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution adopting county budget for the fiscal year commencing January 1, 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is obviously the budget brought forth out of finance personnel, and urge its adoption.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Carrasco.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. Update the full value on the summary of the budgets to $5,915,323,359.
Thank you. Have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Legislator Emmons.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the budget. This is the correct title due to some clerical errors. Page 8. Change from administrative secretary, deputy clerk to deputy clerk of county legislature. Page 62, from EMS service program director to EMS program coordinator. And page 106, from county rec youth director to coordinator rec youth development.
Thank you. Seconded by Legislator Twist. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Legislator Twist.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to add $7,500 to the EMS budget for medical director. It's state law that we have a certified position in order for the county to keep its certification.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Legislator Klein. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Legislator Klein.
I'd like to make a motion to restore position number 141118601, Deputy County Clerk Motor Vehicle for $36,058. That's on page 25. And related FICA for $2,758 in line A1411.5900308. That's on page 26. This is a position that will help improve service. And that word's been used a lot today, to our customers in our brand new building.
Second.
Thank you. Multiple seconds. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Another word that's been used a lot today is, you gotta go through committee, and I don't see where this went through any committee. I mean, you're bringing it up now, and yeah, it went through committee, and it was not passed through committee. It went through, the original budget, yes, governments and courts it passed. But when it went into F&P, it was taken out. Because the tentative, unless this tentative budget I have here, I can use for, to start a fire with, because that's what it says. And now you're bringing it to us at the last minute, how long, 5 minutes before the meeting started, we got this? So how are we gonna have discussion about it? If you're talking about service, the word being used, and it's a deputy clerk. I'm sorry, I can't be in favor of doing things this way any more than you guys are in favor of what I tried to do, or any of my caucus. But you guys bring it forward to us now, the last minute.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
5 opposed.
Carried. Legislator Stahl.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to remove $46,316 from the Development and Efficiency account, A1010.543700, on page 7. This will offset those increases from the previous few lines.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
And multiple seconds? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Opposed.
Legislator Willett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As most of us know, this has been as all of us know in this room pretty much, this has been a long journey that doesn't start just this time of year, it starts at the beginning of the year, our budget. The majority caucus has looked into this budget every step of the way, looked after it, cared after it like we're supposed to. And at the end of the day, we've done some really looking at the workman's compensation budget, talking to our administrator, forecasting what we can afford to do there, what we should have there, and we came up with the following motion. The following motion is to reduce workers' compensation budget levy MS 9041.590408 workers' compensation. Reduce that by $150,000 on page 141. As a result, MS 9040.422220 participant assessments, reduce that line by $150,000, page 141. And also as a result, A 9040.546500 workman's comp other payments, reduced by $75,714 on page 116.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Multiple seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Legislator Wilson.
Yeah, I'd just like to, after these motions, is there any chance we can ask the county administrator and Mr. Ludwig to please give us a total of where we are at this point, please?
After those 6 motions, your tax levy is $45,485,655. That results, considering the new full value, of a generic tax rate of $7.69 per thousand.
Very good. Any further discussion? Legislator John.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I received the news that we had another zero this year, my first question was, what does the fund balance look like? Are we utilizing any fund balance to offset or use it as a budget tool? To my joy, it's the first year since in my tenure, and I know in many years that we didn't utilize fund balance as a budgeting tool. The second thing that I did was I turned to page 94 of the budget and looked at our amount of new caseworkers that were allocated. I did that because Earlier this year, in Human Services, a committee that I've served on for 4 years now, we received our annual CPAC report. We talk a lot about advisories and the pros and cons of them at the county. This is one that works. The Child Protective Advisory Council that comes and reports on really the welfare of our children and timely safety assessments that are happening in this community. I'll be blunt, it scared the heck out of me. It scared the heck out of me. The things that are going on in our community with our children are unnerving. So, out of a tragedy, years and years ago, the Child Advisory Council was born. It's a panel of experts, and when I say experts, it's a panel of experts that reports to the Human Services Committee on an annual basis, recommending steps that we can take forward to better the child welfare, to strengthen the Department of Social Services, to service children in our community. One of the recommendations this year was the addition of 8 new caseworkers. That addition passed unanimously with bipartisan support in the Human Services Committee. I was thrilled to see that we were at a zero, not utilizing fund balance, and the fact that we had 8 caseworkers allocated in the budget. To my disappointment, those 8 caseworkers didn't carry through and didn't make it through Human Services. 4 of them were cut, with the money being allocated, if I'm correct, to our development and efficiencies line. We don't get too many opportunities, in my opinion, to do good work like was done in the Human Services Committee with these caseworkers. We talk about giving department heads and departments tools to do their job. These caseworkers are tools for the Department of Social Services to go out on the front lines and protect children. For those that haven't read the Child Advisory Report that we got, we have a lot of advisory committees on this county. I don't read every single one of them. I don't fault folks for not reading it, but it's jarring. It's jarring, the numbers that we see in there. And our folks out at the Department of Social Services, our caseworkers more specifically on the front lines, are doing all that they can. But when you're carrying 20 caseloads and you're going into the situations that these caseworkers are going into, it's a tough, tough, tough job. And the goal for us as a body is we have to reduce the burden and we have to try to improve retention. Now listen, I'm pragmatic to this. I'm not going to hide behind any smoke with this. We're not going to be able to fill those 8 positions right away. I'm completely understanding of that. I get it. But at the same time, like we do in every single department across this county, we have to give department heads the tools and the opportunities to run their department in the right way. And this more so than ever. This is children's lives. This is life and death in certain instances. This advisory committee was born out of it. And to go and have the ability to take these recommendations, fulfill them in the budget, keep it at a zero, and not utilize fund balance, to then go on the back end and cut those positions, cut 4 of those positions, is just not the right thing to do. We shouldn't have to wait for the next budget cycle to have this conversation. We should embody and embolden our department heads to go out and be able to do the job. Because in this scenario, if they're employed and we're at the employment that we need to be with our caseworkers, then it reduces the amount of cases that they have, that helps with turnover, so on and so forth. But this is a matter of the most importance. We're talking about the children in our community. And so for me, I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to reallocate those 4 caseworker positions that were removed. I'd like to take that money, which I believe amounts to $168,364. I'd like to take that out of the development and efficiencies line, reallocate that into the Department of Social Services line. I'd like a roll call vote on that. I think it's of the most importance. Thank you.
A second.
Slow down.
Slow down. All
There's
right.
not a resolution there to necessarily amend.
Okay, all right.
Well, I'd be looking to amend the
Amending
budget.
the budget, so that's
Amend the
amending the resolution.
So, got a resolution, we got a second. Any other discussion? Legislator Castillo.
I commend Legislator Drum for his dissertation, and you have to look at what's going on in the social services where they are losing people left and right. And you have to go to some of the meetings and sit and listen to the supervisors and then talk about they lost 4 people today, they lost 3 people today. And for many years, 6 years now, I've been asking what's the difference? Why is it we lose people, Onondaga County isn't? I asked for the salary difference. I found out this past year what the salary difference is. They all start at the same salary, but within 3 years at Onondaga County, they're up to $45,000, and our people are only up to about $42,000, maybe $43,000. Caseload is a big issue. These people go into these situations, and it's not nice. And a lot of them are not prepared for it. Now, I watched the video of that committee meeting where 8 of those positions were asked to be removed. And in that meeting, there wasn't a second to do that. So therefore, those 8 positions were in there. Then there was a timeout called, came back, and then there was 4 positions removed. And I'm sorry, those 4 positions are very important for the welfare of the children, welfare of the families, to get people off public assistance. You have to know and be around these children. I can't give names, but I have people that I pick up, students that I pick up, and they are considered emotionally disturbed, and they need help. And are there enough caseworkers to help these kids? That's what you have to ask yourself. And there aren't. When you have to pick students up and you have to hear what they're going through in their home life, you know that they need that help. And putting these 4 positions back in will help and possibly get these people off public assistance and help them so that we don't have further public assistance. Because the ones you don't help today multiply.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Any other discussion? Yeah, I would just say, I understand that, these 4 positions aren't gonna be the silver bullet, right? They're not gonna solve all the problems in our community that we have as it relates to the Department of Social Services. I understand that we have different ideologies in this body about the Department of Social Services, right? I know for a fact there's contrasting views when it comes to the Department of Social Services. I get that. Those are the conversations we're supposed to have as an elected body. But what I'm asking today is, let's not have those types of conversations. Let's not make those drastic cuts on the back of caseworkers who deal with our children in the direct lines. Want to have those conversations? That's fine. But let's have it in a more holistic approach, looking at the entire department. Let's not needle out 4 caseworkers that are going to be working with our children directly and help offset the caseloads for our others. It's just not the right place to draw a line. These are the people that work with our families and our children. So, thank you.
Legislator Goodell.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just kind of a quick comment here. But initially, and I worked a great deal over at the Department of Social Services. I worked with our director, Stacey Albert, who was doing a tremendous job over there. So I had the very great pleasure of this past Monday going over to DSS at the invitation of the director to speak with some new hires, people that have just come off the street that are coming in. I think, what were there, 13? 13. So this number 8 is something that we came up with, we worked on, and we're trying to balance the services, trying to balance a budget, trying to balance how much money we have, and make as a primary focus the safety of our community, the safety of our children. We came up with this number 8, which is a plus up from what we've had in the past. We took that number 8 and brought it back to 4, so we're actually plus up 4 from the past. And I greatly appreciate Legislator Drum's passion for this. He's definitely been an asset. He said at the committee it was a bipartisan, it was unanimous. But the reality is, we have balancing to do. And the reality is, we are out there working to protect our children, we're working with the families, et cetera. Our DSS is doing a tremendous job. This 4 is going to help tremendously, I'm absolutely convinced of that. And maybe there's something we can do in the future. I believe this is the right thing for us to do right now, though, and I believe it went through the process, and it balances the factors that we need to balance.
Thank you. So just so we're clear, this is the motion to amend presented by Legislator Jung. Any further discussion?
Just a roll call, Mr. Chairman.
Roll call vote, sir.
Margaret Kessler.
No.
Wilford Potter.
No.
Edward Gilson's absent excused. David Holst.
No.
Roy Rehill's absent excused. John Martino.
No.
Bradley Trudell.
No.
Paul House.
No.
James Weatherup.
No.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
No.
Linda Lockwood.
No.
Richard Klein.
No.
Patrick Twist.
No.
Stephen Walpole.
No.
Nathan Emmons.
No.
Thomas Drum.
Yes.
Shane Broadwell is absent excused. Heather Del Conte.
Yes.
Marie Schott.
No.
Tim Stahl.
No.
Terry Wilbur.
No.
James Karasik.
No.
Morris Cervello.
No.
Daniel Fafia.
Yes.
Frank Cecilia.
Yes.
4 in favor.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
2. 4 opposed.
He wants to make a motion. We're not doing
Stand corrected. Back to the original. Any further discussion?
I'm sorry, we don't need an original, right, Mr. Chairman? I was voting to amend the budget, that failed, right? So now we're back to open budget discussion, correct?
Correct.
Am I right? Okay.
Original resolution. Legislator Castillo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend the budget and remove the raises for the legislative body. $10,000 taken out of that legislative account, please.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Roll call vote on that, please.
Roll call, sir.
Margaret Kessler.
No.
Wilford Potter.
No.
Edward Gilson's excused. David Holst. Roy Rehill excused. John Martino.
No.
Bradley Trudell.
No.
Paul House. No. James Weatherup.
No.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
No.
Linda Lockwood.
No.
Richard Klein.
No.
Patrick Twist.
No.
Stephen Walpole.
No.
Nathan Emmons.
No.
Thomas Drum.
Yes.
Shane Broadwell is excused. Heather Del Conte.
Yes.
Marie Schott.
Yes.
Tim Stahl.
No.
Terry Wilbur.
No.
James Karasik.
No.
Morris Cervello.
No.
Daniel Fafia.
Yes.
Frank Cecilia.
Yes.
5 in favor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, this is for the budget. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
5 opposed.
Thank you. Resolution FP4 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution making appropriation for the conduct of county government for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2020.
This is just putting forth the money for the budget.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Opposed.
Carried. Resolution PS1 by Legislator Wilbur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the chairman of the Oswego County Legislature to enter into an agreement with the New York State for the 2020 Stop DWI program.
Now that the money has been allocated in the 2020 budget for the Stop DWI program, this allows the chairman to enter into an agreement on behalf of us with New York State to administer and put forth the DWI program.
Thank you.
Roll call vote.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, sir.
Yes.
Margaret Kessler.
Yes.
Wilford Potter.
Yes.
Edward Robert Gilson excused. David Holst.
Yes.
Roy Reel excused. John Martino.
Pass.
Riley Trudell.
Yes.
Paul House.
Yes.
James Weatherup.
Yes.
Mary Ellen Shefro.
I'm sorry, yes.
Linda Lockwood.
Yes.
Richard Klein.
Yes.
Patrick Twist.
Yes.
Stephen Walpole.
Yes.
Nathan Emmons.
Yes.
Thomas Drum.
Yes.
Shane Bravo is excused. Heather Del Conte. Marie Schott.
Yes.
Tim Stahl. Terry Wilbur.
Yes.
James Karosik.
Yes.
Morris Cervello.
Yes.
Daniel Flack.
Yes.
Frank Castilia.
Pass.
John Martino.
Yes.
Frank Castilia.
I didn't hear, I said pass.
I have back
Back
on
to
you.
you. We're back to you.
I didn't hear Margaret.
Point of order, did you call Mr. Potter?
Yes.
I heard it as a yes.
I didn't hear
I heard that.
Margaret.
Margaret.
And,
I
Martinez.
passed, but I'm now voting yes.
I heard it. This is his first meeting. I didn't hear you call, Mr. Martinez either.
I voted yes. If you called on me, I voted yes.
Pass.
Are we all comfortable with our vote?
Legislator Castilia.
All right, now I'll say yes.
Very good.
Tough decision now. That was close.
Resolution GC8 by Legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing chairman and the clerk to handle all unfinished business through December 31st, 2019.
Pretty self-explanatory. Chairman and clerk.
Is it?
handle all unfinished business for December 31st, 2019.
Thank you. Any discussions? Legislator Scott.
I wonder, why are we never provided a list of what was paid during this period? I would like that.
This particular period that we're talking
What,
about here?
to pay all unfinished business, kind of like,
Thank you, generated for you.
but I think it should be.
It's general, it's a housekeeping one.
I understand.
Telephone, the power bills.
Maybe I'm just paranoid now, that's where it's landed. But I'd like a copy.
We'll make sure you do.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
3-4 post.
Broke ranks. You guys know that?
Pardon?
Broke ranks. Okay, thank you. Unfinished business.
Did you get my vote now?
Yeah.
I do now. 5.
Any miscellaneous business? Mr. Chairman. Wait, excuse me. Unfinished business?
No, this one, I'm good.
Miscellaneous. Miscellaneous. We'll go with Legislator Wilbur first.
Sorry. I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year, and the rest of you that are leaving, God bless you.
You had to take his thunder for that?
Why, you wanted to do that?
No.
Oh.
Business, you know that.
You can do it too, go ahead.
I just wanted to remind everybody that on Monday night, we're having a shared services panel meeting. It's open to the public. We'll be voting on a plan for 2019. I'd ask you to encourage, if you run into or see your town supervisors or village mayors or city mayors, encourage them to attend because I need a quorum to pass the plan Monday night. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment period, sir. Legislator Wilbur.
Anybody want to talk back here? All right. No, we're done. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Wait, Paul, you want to call the question?
Hold on.